morning. I'm Diane Black from Tennessee's 6th Congressional District, and I'm very excited about taking on a new role here in our conference as the Interim Budget Committee Chairman. But today I want to let you in on a little secret. More than any fancy title that comes before my name, the last two letters after my name are very important to me, and that's RN. I still keep my license today, and I remember the oath that I took over 40 years ago to devote myself to the welfare of those committed to my care. It's why I feel so strongly about repealing Obamacare, because I have seen in my state how this has hurt the Tennesseans and how it has failed to deliver to them on the most basic promises. Now, in our state, 28,000 people lost their coverage in a single day in a program called Cover Tennessee. And it lapsed because the Obama administration decreed that it ran afoul of the federal government's top-down requirements. Now, premiums in our state currently are rising by 63%. And 3/4 of our counties in our state only have one insurer to choose from on the Obamacare exchange. And these stories are being repeated across the country, and behind every headline, real people and real stories are damaging change. And that's why this week, the House and the Senate are poised to vote on a budget resolution that paves the way for repealing Obamacare. But that doesn't mean that we're going to return to the status quo. Repealing Obamacare gives us a clean slate to provide something better. We have offered pages upon pages of a concrete plan and substantive solutions in our Better Way Healthcare Blueprint, which you can read if you go to better.gop. We've tried healthcare reform the Washington way, and it didn't work. And now we're going to do it the right way. On behalf of the Budget Committee and the House Republicans, we're ready to get to work. Thank you.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Jeez, what the heck? First of all, we need to remember something. This law is hurting people right now. Look at how much worse things have gotten just in the last few months. More double-digit premium increases, more deductible heights, more people losing their plans. You just heard from Diane Black. How many counties? 3/4 of the counties of Tennessee, a monopoly, one choice. 63% increase in premiums just in Tennessee. So without delay, we are taking action. We are putting in place the tools necessary to keep our promise on this law. We're acting quickly because Obamacare is failing. You have to remember this. Obamacare is failing. For many Americans, it's already failed. For people seeing their premiums skyrocket, Obamacare has already failed. For people suddenly stuck with only one plan to choose from, a monopoly, this law has failed them. For people with deductibles so high that they try to get by without going to the doctor, this law has failed them. There is a better way, and we have made it clear what we want to replace Obamacare with: a truly patient-centered system with more choices and lower costs. A system that gives you the control and the freedom that Obamacare has taken from you. We ran on these ideas. We gave people a very clear choice, and they deserve action. So Democrats can try to talk around Obamacare's problems day and night. They can try to reduce this debate to slogans and scare tactics, but this is not about politics. This is about people's lives. We need to act before things get worse. Remember, this is a rescue mission. We are in the midst of a rescue mission to save the families who are getting caught up in the death spiral that has become Obamacare. We need to do this right. We need to make sure that there is a stable transition period so that people do not have the rug pulled out from under them. This is how we will keep our promise to the American people.
I want to thank Diane Black for becoming the chair of budget and the work that she's doing. But most importantly, we've all known her as a nurse. When she talks about 3/4 of Tennessee only having one plan, that's not just about Tennessee. 1,022 counties across America only have one plan. There's only a little over 3,000 counties for all of America. That's why the Americans are asking us, after looking at this plan, They want to be rescued from it, and they want to see relief coming along the other end with the proposals, what we bring forth. That's exactly what you'll get from this Congress. There's other things I'd like to highlight of what's gone on in this new Congress. If you watched last week about the Midnight Rule and the REINS Act, relief and unshackling our economic drive of business. You know, the CBO reports in the last 5 years, there's on average 82 major rulings of regulation has been enacted. To become a major ruling, you have to impose at least $100 million onto business. 82 each year for the last 5. You would have thought after the election in November, when the American people made a large statement, that this administration would have woken up. They probably would have paused and said America needs to work again and have the new administration come in. But since that time of November election, they've proposed more than 145 regulations, 35 of them being major rulings. They've already enacted more than $16 billion upon business. But in 10 days, that all changes. Now, we won't wait for that time. We're actually moving it now. We have the Regulatory Accountability Act. Puts a level playing field when you look at Radcliffe's bill. Accountability and transparency. But also, it tells the agencies, yes, we believe in having a fair process, but why don't you select the one that costs the least amount or posing on businesses in America? Because what does that mean? More jobs for America. That's what this Congress is doing.
When we campaigned to hold the majority in the House, we campaigned on a set of ideas, an agenda. One of those items was to repeal Obamacare. We actually campaigned on it. And how refreshing is it that people who run for office and make promises to the American people actually follow through on those promises? You know, when we ran, a lot of our opponents were actually attacking us on this idea of repealing Obamacare. So the American people had a say in the failures of this law. In fact, they allowed us to keep this majority, second largest majority since the 1920s, in part because of our promise to repeal Obamacare, because they know this law is failing them. There's a reason why back when this law went through in 2009 and 2010, every single medical doctor in Congress voted against Obamacare. Every single one of them. It was because they promised, they knew what this law was going to do. They knew this law was going to increase costs. They knew that Obamacare was going to destroy the doctor-patient relationship. It's why you see so many doctors getting out of the practice. It's not because they don't have a passion to help people. It's because they know Obamacare takes away their ability to provide the good health care that they know and like, that they took an oath to deliver. This law is failing families all across the country, and they begged for relief. They elected us to provide that relief, and it's exciting that we get the opportunity to not just repeal Obamacare, but then to start the process of replacing it with reforms that put patients back in charge, that focus on lowering costs so that people have real choices, so that families aren't told by some unelected bureaucrat in Washington what they have to buy with a plan that's unaffordable and has a $10,000 or more deductible that doesn't even allow them to go and get health care. There's a difference between getting an insurance card and actually having access to care. It's about time that people who are elected to office actually follow through on their promises and provide relief for the American people who are struggling.
Obamacare was the federal government's attempt to fix our healthcare system, and it failed. Here are the facts. Healthcare prices didn't go down, they went up. Year after year, premiums have increased double digit. And here's what we should be asking ourselves. How many people are paying more for healthcare today than before Obamacare? How many of us have found all the rules and restrictions of healthcare more difficult? How many of us know someone who lost their health insurance coverage since Obamacare was implemented? No matter who you are, you deserve a 21st century healthcare system. Let me be clear. No one who has coverage because of Obamacare today will lose that coverage. We're providing relief. We aren't going to pull the rug out from anyone. We'll protect coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. Our sons and daughters can stay on their parents' health insurance until 26. Remember, as far back as 2009, when this whole debate over health care started, Republicans were offering health care solutions to address our nation's health care problems, and we've been doing so ever since. We want to be thoughtful and deliberate, and we welcome input from everyone, because a 21st century healthcare system shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should be about patients, not politics. It should be straightforward. Everyone should be able to trust that the system will work for them. It should be healthcare that treats you like a human being, not just a number in a waiting line. That's what we're offering people, a 21st century healthcare system that puts them back in control of their lives.
Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, there's a lot of angst among some Republicans about doing a repeal without a replacement, and we understand that you said in conference today there will be some replacement elements in the reconciliation bill. Can you explain?
Well, this will unfold as we bring this process together, but it is our goal to bring it all together concurrently. We already show people what we believe in, what Obamacare should be replaced with. So we're going to use every tool at our disposal through legislation, through regulation, to bring replace concurrent along with repeal so that we can save people from this mess. Yeah. We haven't even gotten a budget from the Trump administration yet because the Trump administration hasn't occurred yet. So right now we have an FY17 budget or an FY18 budget resolution, which is a tool for repeal. The traditional budget will occur this spring. The traditional budget will occur this spring. We will get a budget sent to us from the new administration, and then the budget committee will dispose of it then. So we're getting ahead of ourselves as to what that budget's going to look like. They haven't even been sworn in yet. Yeah.
Speaker Ryan, what tax issues have you discussed with the Trump administration?
All of them.
What specifically?
All of them. Andy.
Just to follow up on the budget, in just the last few days, there's talk about doing the wall as part of the supplemental package. There's this big military supplemental coming. Ron Priebus just said over the weekend he doesn't want to meddle in Medicare and Social Security using President Trump. And you're going to repeal all these Obamacare revenues that you've used to balance the budget in the past.
So what's your question, Andy?
My question is, why should we form the conclusion that the budget is sort of taking a back seat as the new Republican government?
Oh, I don't think that at all. I think one of the things that we're focusing on is getting people back to work is economic growth. You can't ever balance the budget if you don't get this economy growing. That's what regulatory relief and tax reform are all about. By the way, Obamacare is a huge budget buster. It wrecks health inflation. It makes promises that will not be kept. And so we're going to fix these problems. All of these solutions that we're bringing through this year help the bottom line, help the fiscal health and the economic health of Americans. What that specific budget looks like, we don't even have a Trump administration yet or a budget director yet who will then send us a budget that we will then work on. So it's just we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves as to what that spring budget's going to look like. Deirdre.
I just want to follow up on Andrew's question. When you say you want to bring it all together concurrently, repeal and replace, how much of the Obamacare replacement would be in the reconciliation?
That's a question we don't know the answer to. That's a question that really is more of a Senate question as to what you can put in reconciliation, what you cannot put in reconciliation. Those of you who are budget people know, how the reconciliation test works. It's a Senate test. It's not a House test. So we will pass as much as we can through whatever vehicle we've got, and then we'll pass all the other things through regular order outside of reconciliation that show you the full scope of what a real replacement effort looks like. But just know, repealing Obamacare in the beginning and giving people relief and allowing companies to compete and giving more choices to begin with will help heal this problem we have. So immediately we can provide relief this year to families struggling under Obamacare. That's good. Then we want to build on that success by even getting more reforms through regular order if it has to occur outside of reconciliation. The point being, we have ideas and solutions. Obamacare is failing and failing quickly. I mean, it's really bad. Families can't even go to the doctor because their deductibles are so high, so they just skip having health care. Their premiums are so high, more and more people aren't even buying health insurance, and so only people who are desperate to get it are buying it, and that is what we call a death spiral. We're getting warnings from insurance companies that they're pulling out, and people will have zero choices this year on top of even more premium increases. This law is failing quickly. We've got to step in and provide relief and a rescue for the American people, and that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Thank you.